it's quite incredible as far as what we've been able to put together with the assistance of Ian Cordes, our Executive Director, and I want to thank him very much for all the hard work and give him a round of applause because he really has for this organization. A couple of housekeeping rules. Number one, please have your phones on vibrate if you could. I respect that. The second thing is we are going to videotape as well as audio tape today's forum so that we can in the future have a webinar and get the information out because the speakers are just not to be missed, and we want to make sure as many people around the state are able to hear the information that we're going to be presenting today. With that being said, we're not going to go around the room and do a self-introduction because of the amount of time. We want to give enough time for the speakers to do their discussions. The second thing is we're not going to be having open questions afterwards. You'll see that you have a card on your in front of you, and we're going to have somebody going around picking them up. Just raise your hand if you have a question. We'd like to be respectful for two reasons. Number one is the time. Number two, so we make sure we get the question on the audio so that people in the audience that hear this later will be able to identify the question as well as the answer that the speaker gives. So as we get started, I wanted to read our mission statement. And the mission of FMDA Quality Advocacy Coalition is to develop the strategies with like-minded thought leaders to inspire innovation and proactive policies that enhance the quality of care and the quality of life for residents in the post-acute and long-term care continuum. FQAC desires to build a vital statewide network to support this initiative. And this is going into our second year. We're finishing up our second year of our forum. And we have found with the collaborative network that we have created, we now have an audience like you and speakers that are going to be speaking today to really take us to the next step. We have really, the FMDA used to be an industry advisory board. It's been around for what, 17, 18 years now? And we have really transitioned into what we are today, and we are a collaborative organization to work with many different agencies in order to bring a betterment to our frail elderly. Dr. Foley?
Thank you, Dr. Selznick. Welcome, everybody. And I was sitting here thinking, gosh, how do I address such an awesome group? And so about 18 years ago, I was sitting maybe in one room over, listening to the key address from the lieutenant governor at the time, and he was saying, you know, all the futures that you guys have and the young people in the audience, you'll be up here sitting up. I'm like, yeah, no chance that's going to happen. But as I sit up here and look at all of these folks that are in front of us, all the collaborative minds that have decided to get together in one room to address a serious issue in long-term care post-acute, I'm just humbled by the opportunity to stand in front of you. So with that in mind, and as Dr. Selznick said, we don't have the time to go and introduce each and every one, but we have some co-chairs here today, some supportive members, and I'd like to give them a chance to come up to the podium and introduce themselves and the organization and what you're working on. And if you could keep it to just a 2 to 3 minute, that would be great. So first off, Kim is not here. We're waiting for her to show up, but Amy Osborne from Health Services Advisory Group, and I've been told it's her birthday today. I promised I wouldn't sing.
Since he won't sing, I'll forget it. But Dr. Selznick, Dr. Foley, thank you so much, and Ian for hosting this event. Amy Osborne, I'm the Executive Director of Health Services Advisory Group. We are the CMS Quality Improvement Organization here in the state of Florida. And I have the privilege of working with 5 individuals that have communities throughout the state that represent 60% of the fee-for-service Medicare beneficiaries. So there's 15 communities that are working, and later on, if you would like to know about the community work and if it's something in your community, just come up to Ed and I. She's with me as well. She's the head of my care coordination community lead. We'd be happy to get you involved in the community work we have. But just thank you to FMDA for sponsoring today's event. It's very important topic.
Thank you, Amy. Thank you, Amy. I appreciate that. Next up, Ms. Debbie Franklin from the Florida Healthcare Association.
Hi, Debbie Franklin, and I'm so honored to be here. I have Kim Broom with us, our clinical specialist, and I heard at the last stakeholder meeting that Florida Healthcare was the one that always opposed Post, and being involved with the legislative committee, I can vouch that's true. And so I asked him, I said, let's get a stakeholder group together and talk about why and see what we can do to make our purpose and mission happen. So we're very excited to be a part of this project. And thank you.
Thank you, Debbie. Next up, Ms. Beth Brunner from the Florida College of Emergency Physicians. Not here. Ms. Kim Smoke, my personal favorite from Iowa.
You only say that because I'm the regulator in the room. Actually, I'll back up with me today. I'm Kim Smoke. I'm the Chief of Field Operations, the State Survey Agency Director here in the state of Florida. I did bring Michelle Delahaye with me. She's one of my nurse supervisors in the Orlando field office because I'll probably have to step out a little bit with phone calls and everything. So thank you for allowing us to be here for the agency to be at the table. We think this is a great initiative for us to address. And we're really like getting out and doing something other than regulating for a while. So thank you for allowing us to be here. I did send something to Ian, a report from Medicaid. Beth Kidder, the Director of Medicaid, wanted me to make sure to specifically share that report, give folks a heads up that Medicaid is looking at reasons for rehospitalization. And it's really a great report, has a lot of great information in there, and we are working on a CMP project, a civil monetary penalty project with Florida Atlantic University, and we're really, really close to finalizing that contract, and we'll be able to start a 2-year plan to address rehospitalization of our residents from our nursing homes. So again, thank you for allowing us to be here and participate. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And we have the privilege of our next guest, who is going to be welcoming for FMDA, as well as discussing with palliative care. And he is well known to this organization. He has devoted many years to long-term care. He is currently involved with the palliative and hospice care, and he is our president for FMDA. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Dr. Leonard Hogg.
So let me introduce myself just a bit. I'm an internist and an intensivist. I ran a community intensive care unit the first 12 years of my career. It's mostly older people that are in intensive care unit. Thank goodness we don't have too many 22-year-old diabetics with ketoacidosis or 45-year-olds with heart attacks. I got very interested in geriatrics and am boarded in geriatrics. And when you're in the field of geriatrics, you often get engaged in long-term care. So I met AMDA, and then the Kansas medical director, the Missouri medical director, and became active nationally with AMDA, served on their board for a while. And in geriatrics, when you take care of older people and that need care, I think it's interesting. You know what you call an 82-year-old guy who's playing golf? A golfer. You know what you call a 72-year-old person who's in the ICU? A geriatric patient. So it's pretty interesting about geriatrics, but if you're a geriatrician, then you're often taking care of people who are very ill and who may be approaching the end of their life. So for 15 years now, I've been engaged in palliative care and hospice medicine. And my job now at Trustbridge down in Palm Beach and Broward County, I'm the Chief Medical Officer of the palliative program. The palliative program. Let me just say that FMDA used to be Florida Medical Directors Association, but it's not just medical directors, it's all attending physicians, but it's not just physicians. It's administrators and DONs and ADONs and clinical consultant pharmacists and ARNPs and the whole team. And as I look around, just now I was telling Dr. Kaplan, the better looking Dr. Kaplan, you all can decide, but I was just telling Dr. Kaplan, if you look around at this group of FMDA, now the Society for Post-Acute and Long-Term Care, we are the least diverse set of people that I have ever seen, because we all are like-minded. We all have the caring and the passion for the patients and families and workplace employees that we serve. We're like-minded. We have the same theme, the same belief system, the same experience. So we're really anything but diverse. Now, somebody might look around and look at the men and women who are at FMDA and say, wow, that's one of the most diverse organizations I've ever seen, if you look at it that way. But we're all the same in that we care about who we serve and how we serve them. And that's why all around us right now is the Best Practices Convention that's happening in the rooms all around us. And we just wanted to take this opportunity to have you all. When Steve and Rick really started this coalition a couple years ago, we had a few members, but now, even though we're not going to introduce ourselves all around the room, to your left and right are experts in Florida and in the country about how to address the issues that we'll talk about this afternoon. And one of the challenges was to address the challenges, but I think we understand the challenges. The challenge this afternoon is about end of life and about readmissions. What we would like to move to is understanding some of the answers, the next step, and what would be the implementation of what we can do to really have best practices in reducing readmissions in the state of Florida. And as you hear the speakers, you're going to hear real experts, national experts, this afternoon. So my job is palliative, and that's a hard job because the very first part about palliative is defining it. So my physician colleagues in the hospital believe that palliative is code word for hospice. Oh, there's hospice. Hospice and palliative care. That's not so. In long-term care, many of the attending physicians believe that palliative physician or ARP in long-term care is the prescription writing service. Friday afternoon after 3 o'clock. Could you please bring a prescription? And that's not true. We do want to comfort people. Some folks believe that palliative care is just pain management, and that's not true. So let me, as I get to talk about palliative care now, define it my way. I'm the speaker, so it's the right way. So palliative means comforting. Palliative means to comfort. The word means to comfort. So symptom assessment and management is palliative care. Now, any symptom. Pain might be the number one symptom, but shortness of breath, nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, constipation, dry eyes, itchy skin, delirium, depression, emotional chaos. If they have it and it's an uncomfortable symptom, palliative can assess that symptom and comfort that symptom. Sound right for palliative? It's symptom assessment and comforting. Now, I wish that's what we got to do in palliative, but it's not. What we get called on to do when I'm consulted in palliative is you go talk to them. It is about the conversation. Sometimes it's called the breaking bad news conversation. When surveyed, 74% of physicians say, I'll never give them bad news, get somebody else to do it. The 26% who say they will, most of them don't do a very good job of it. In fact, I want to end by quoting a little article that I brought with me and would make available to you. So 95% of the time, I and my robust team of palliative care get a consult. It is not about symptom management. We wish it was. We'll get a consult to go see ICU room 5, and as we're walking past 1, 2, 3, 4, we hear gasping for air, vomiting and retching, moaning in pain. But we didn't get asked to see those patients. We got asked to see the 95-year-old with a 72-year-old daughter who wants a second opinion about everything and is waiting for the miracle because nobody else wants to talk to her and the patient's been in ICU for 14 days. So those are the kind of cases in the ICU. And in long-term care, where I went into geriatrics, where I then went into hospice. Our patients there, our residents, whether it's continuous care retirement community, a small group home, assisted living, custodial care, or even skilled care, if it's not an elective knee replacement skilled care, these people are changing in their life, and they'll continue to change. With the best care ever, they have had performance decline that got them into long-term care, and with the best care they may ever have, they will continue to have a performance decline. So today, when I'm asked to talk about palliative care and avoidable readmission, palliative care is about the conversation, breaking bad news, the difficult discussion. So readmissions, and by the way, I said avoidable because surgeons often believe that any of their readmissions were not avoidable, no matter what, not avoidable. So sometimes we may even have to debate avoidable readmissions or just readmissions. Readmissions, there's the Medicare measure within 30 days for the same diagnosis, more and more diagnosis all the time. Acute myocardial infarction, heart failure, and acute myocardial infarction, heart failure, and pneumonia, I think were the first three, but they're going to expand. And it was with that measure came the hospital readmission penalty, which will be increasing. Then there's the quality measure. Well, why wouldn't we just reduce all readmissions in any time frame by doing a better job? Why would it just be some diagnosis in a 30-day period? Do people need to come back for the same thing all the time? And then the best practices, the value proposition. We want to save money, hospital beds, Medicare dollars, but also do the best thing for the patient. And the value proposition says that it is the quality of the care and the cost that make value in the patient care delivery. So we would just want to make sure that it's the best practice to readmit, that